Okay, let's do a quick little wrap around of this 82 GMC Sierra 2500 we're going to be working on here. We picked this up a couple weeks back. I can't remember the exact date, but we have an ignition problem we're going to be messing with. So let's just go ahead and look at all this beautiful truck action right here. Then we'll get straight into work. All right. Now that we got our overdose of our, some might argue, a brick, let's get in here and move the towels and stuff out of the way. And we'll, you know what, let's just talk about what's going on. This ignition problem we got going on in here, crank no start. What's new? We've already went ahead and I've tested the spark on this. We don't got it. I went ahead off camera and I've taken this distributor out and I've rebuilt everything in it, the coil, ICM, the ignition control module, and the pickup coil that's around the shaft of the distributor. You have to take the shaft out, pin, and all that. If you want to see a video on that, you guys let me know down in the comments, and I'll take it all apart, show you guys how I tested it and stuff like that, and rebuilt it, and I'll put it back together. And then also, if you guys wanted to see how to time a vehicle like this, real simple and easy, goodness, I can go over that too. Just put it down in the comments. It takes, I don't know, 5 minutes to do it right. Anyways, we put it all back together. Still no spark. If I run a hot wire straight to the distributor, it will actually arc. It would not do so before I built the distributor, for those of you that are like, well, why didn't you test that? I did. But the problem I'm running into now, I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. Let me just show you, okay? Alright. I guess I need to take the camera off, bring you guys over here, and show you what I'm hooking this positive lead to if you don't know much about HEI distributors and how they're all hooked up and stuff. What do we got going on here? Anyways, on the top of the distributor cap, and I'm going to wind up taking the camera off and showing you guys, but on the top of the cap, on the driver's side is where mine's at, is the battery and tack, like plug-in, I guess you could say. And that's where that ignition wire is going to be. That the battery ignition is pretty much what it is. We're going to be testing that wire over there, and I'll bring the camera over there and show you in just a second. But hook up your negative lead to the battery or wherever you can get it, any negative. Ground. We're going to hook up our lead way over here. Good night. Okay. We're going to turn this to DC volts. I'm going to take the camera off and show you guys what we got going on in the engine bay here. And then we'll get to testing. Make sure you put this on DC, not AC. You're not testing no weird currents. You're just testing the straightforward ones. Okay? You're not testing. They're not doing this. Doing that. Okay? So put it on DC. And then we'll get to work. Alright, so you can tell it's on the negative of the battery. And then way over here, you got this ignition that would go in. Let me move this out of the way, kind of hard to get in there, but you can tell right there how it says tack and battery, and you don't got to worry about all this stuff. Just tack and battery is what you're worried about. Anyways, find your ignition wire. Hopefully yours has one, because if not, you'd have to run it, and I'm pretty sure this goes straight down to the starter over there. Don't get me lying to you. Haven't really traced that before, but if I have to, one day we'll figure it out together, okay? But that's where we're at. Alright, so what I need you to do is watch this little multimeter screen here. And I'm going to go over here on this side, right here. And I'm going to turn it to the run position. And then after a second of you reading this and telling me what you see, remember, tell me what you see, then I'll go to start it and you're going to tell me what you see then. Alright. What are we looking at? Nothing? Because we didn't hook the battery up. What are we doing? Why didn't you tell me to do that? Well, we got power. Okay. See how that says 12.32? Well, that's about right where we want it, 12, 13 volts. If your battery's overcharged, 13. Anyways, now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start this, or roll it over, because it's not really, I doubt it's going to do nothing because it ain't hooked up, you know. Wait, tell me what you see. Alright, what do you see over there? So, if you can see over here, I went ahead and hooked up a battery charger. The battery's a little low. This is the one I got with the truck. It's okay enough to turn it over. This might actually wind up being our problem the more I think about it, but as you could tell earlier on this multimeter here, while in the run position, it would have about 12 something volts, 12, 13 volts, somewhere around there. But when trying to start it, it would drop to 8.3 or 9 something, and it went up to 9 when I was testing it off camera when I put this charger on there. But that should, in my personal opinion, I normally do like points and stuff that has ballast resistors and all that. That should be enough to make it fire. This one I think is supposed to have like a full 12 volts constant at all times. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's just the battery. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop off one of these wires over here and check for spark. And if it's still no spark on the ignition wire being at 9, I'm going to try swapping the battery and see if that has any effect on it. And we'll test it here. Because it could just be that this battery's dead and it doesn't have the power on the cranking side, the cranking amps or cold cranking amps, whichever, to push that power that's needed to the distributor. So let me go ahead and test for spark here. I'm going to do it the way I normally do it with a screwdriver and stuff, and we'll move on from there. Okay, before you do this, make sure you hook that ignition wire back up to the battery side on the top of the distributor there. And you're going to come down here and grab your number 1. Well, you can really do it with any of them, but I'm just going to do it number 1. Stick your screwdriver in here to the contact point in this wire. You're going to find a ground or piece of metal, because you know the cab and everything's going to be grounded on this. You'll bring it over here, and while you're starting it, you watch in between the screwdriver and that piece of metal you're holding it next to. And I'm going to try to film this while doing it all so you guys can see what's going on. Alright, let's see what happens here. I hope you guys can see that, but right in between there, you get a little spark. So you don't have to have that little test lights deal and all that other stuff. You can do the same thing with the spark plug down there. If you take that spark plug out, leave it in the boot, and hold it to some metal, you should see an arc in between the little probes in there, whatever you want to call them damn things. I'm thinking all it is this battery here, because just the other day it wouldn't do this. That I wasn't hooked up to all this stuff. So it could have just been the battery and it not getting enough voltage. But anyways, I went and looked. You guys couldn't actually see the spark, which is unfortunate. But you can hear the tick. And it only ticked twice. I didn't turn it over very long. But that little tick you guys just heard was that thing arcing from that screwdriver to that hood post right there. So I'm just going to hook up this wire. I'm going to go get some fuel from in the shop. In a little bottle I poked holes in the top. I'm going to spray it in this carb and see if it'll turn over. We don't got much, so hopefully it'll work off the rib, but if we have to, I'll go get some more somewhere somehow. Let's turn it over and see what happens. Well, that's the most it's done since I've owned it, which is good. So we know we have fuel, we have spark. So there was fuel coming up out of here before. I might try to run some fuel back down into this mechanical fuel pump and see if it'll help prime it. Might use I don't know, WD-40, PB Blaster, the rest of my fuel, something like that, some lubricant to get down in there and help it pump. So it's not pumping dry. Anyways, I did want to go ahead and tell you before I forget, I have tested this battery before without charging it, and it stays current at 12 volts, and it never really drops. But I bet you inside of there. I think there's a cell, or, you know, I'm not a battery expert, but every time you put a load on this battery, it'll drop. And when your battery starts going bad, it'll drop so much so that the geese hate it up there. But it'll drop so much so that it doesn't power things the way it's supposed to. And I bet you that's what we're fighting right now, is bad readings from a bad battery. So it could be just as simple as that. Yours might be different, but like I said, if you want to get into a video like that later, just let me know below. I got a couple things I wanted to do. I just didn't do it because it's been raining its butt off out here. And I'm lucky that it's not raining right now. It's supposed to rain the whole next week. So I'm trying to push out a video for you guys. I work outside. It's been a little hard. Okay, this might be a little hard to see, but I popped this fuel line off here. And I'm going to squirt some PB Blaster down up in this right here. Okay, and we're going to see if this will throw some fuel out. So, I'm going to let you guys be the test dummy. I'm going to go over there and turn it over, and you tell me if fuel starts spraying everywhere. Feast your eyes. Okay. Any word? Let's do a little bit more digging. Okay, so I took some shop air, and I took that. There's 3 lines down here. One is the line to the carburetor. The other one is I think is the vent, is the small one in the middle. And then one on the outside, the biggest one, is what comes from the tank. It's either the middle one's a vent or it's a return. I don't know which. But I took off the big line. This one on this fuel pump is the furthest one to the left. And I blew some air in it. And it sent fuel everywhere, all over my hands and everything. So we're getting fuel up here. I wonder if this doesn't pump any fuel. This fuel pump could be bad. But I want you guys to watch right here and tell me if any fuel gets pumped up there, okay? Alright everybody, a little change of scenery. As you can tell, we're not by the truck. I went ahead and I messed with that fuel pump for a while. Go ahead, Rooster, just get after it up there. I went ahead and I messed with that fuel pump for a while up there, and no matter what I do, spraying oils in it, WD-40, PB Blaster, I sprayed air in it. I was messing with the diaphragm, moving it back and forth. It would not, for the life of me, get that diaphragm to work. Even I put it all back in there, and it still won't pump fuel. So we're going to wind up getting a new one. My parents are going to pick it up for me because they're already in town, and I'm going to go play on the tractor on the driveway for a little while because our driveway needs a little loving. It's in. Anyways, here's the numbers on that bad boy right here. M16016, that's what we're going with. If I was going to be buying one of these, you're going to make sure the tongue's the right shape here, because this is what that, I don't know, rod, piston, thingy, whatever you want to call it, sits on top of to push this thing. And it makes weird noises. And then, yeah, you can choose how many of these you want or whatnot. But that's what we got. All right, this is what we're going with. Alright, so can you see right down in here, that shiny thing right there? That's that rod that you have to push in towards the motor because it rides on, I think, a cam lobe in there. Or something. They've always got some little contraption to figure that out. But anyways, you need to push that up, and to do that we're going to have to take off this bolt and this bolt, pull this plate out of the way, and then there's a bolt here with a nut on it so it doesn't back out. Now you can see that rod a little better. So we're going to get our 9/16 in here. Grab the back of that bolt. Loosen it up. Just like so. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way out. I don't think you have to, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I'll pull this rod out of here and show you. Here's what that looks like. It's got that little nut on it. Show you this rod real quick. That's all it is. It's a little rod, about yay long. And it sets on this pump just like that. And it'll be pushing. Every time the motor turns over, it'll push, and then you got fuel pressure. I'm not going to bother you with showing you how to put it all back together. It's the same thing, just reversed. Just a little bit of a RTV and a gasket, and then you're good to go. So, we went ahead and we got that fuel pump installed, and Dad was up here helping me do it, you know. But when we got it done, we went to start it, and I wanted to show him it running because it ran earlier and it sounded pretty good for about half a second. But now we've lost spark again. So from the battery to this piece right here, which is the same wire that's at the distributor, but for some reason is bare right there, it has 12 to 13 volts of the battery and 8 to 9 volts here at that wire. And then over here, how earlier it was 8 to 9, now it's only 3 volts over there at the distributor. So what I'm going to do now is bypass that with a wire that goes to the hot side of the battery. I'm just going to hook it up over there on the distributor cap to the battery and make sure that it'll actually run, and we know it's a wire problem that's coming from down there somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and take care of this. I'm not going to leave it on there. I just wanted to turn over, and then I got to put this bolt back in here. This is the bolt that holds that rod for the fuel pump, because earlier I took the nut off of it to actually go all the way in there and hold the rod. Now I got to put the nut back on there and then put it back in its hole. By the way, don't get too carried away and forget this on there. I wouldn't know who would do that, but don't do it. Anyways, that's all. We'll be right back after I hook this up, put this in there, and we'll see if it starts again. Okay. Disgusting. Anyways, we got it to start. That's good. Alright, turns out there's still a wire that's doing weird things in here. We just need the main hot to the distributor, and we got spark again. So we're not worried about that. We'll source that wire out later. We're not going to run it like this because I don't want it to, well, you know, that's not how it's supposed to be. I think what happened with this carburetor swap action, because there's a Holly in the seat in there, I think they just threw it on there and didn't tune it up or nothing. And I think that's why it's fidgety. But this thing hasn't ran in a long time, so it's good to hear it run. And I keep it running, but I need to get oil for it, so we're going to shut it down for now. This has been really fun, and we'll be back working on this a lot because I'd like to drive this here and there, and it needs quite a bit of work. So thanks for watching. I think I'm going to make this a will it run. This is kind of a weird episode. There's not really just one part that we did, so we might do our first like official, maybe first, I don't know if it's the first, probably not, but will it run? So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. It was a bumpy ride for sure, but thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.